YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome again to our channel. Today we wanted to share with you some really, hopefully, good information for those of you who are planning to go off the grid and are actively looking for property or looking for homesteads and are serious about that self-reliant lifestyle. So the purpose of this video is really addressing having a plan for purchasing off-grid property, or even just having a plan for purchasing on-grid property that is more like a homestead that will hopefully turn into some type of renewable resource on your piece of property with all the homesteading perks like the gardening and raising the farm animals and having a spring. Really, really empowering yourselves to break free from this system that we're in and start living a more self-sufficient lifestyle. So this really is part of our series, Debt-Free, Slave-Free. I'm going to talk a little bit about our mentality and how we had to get off the grid with our thinking. Now, keep in mind, we had a plan many, many years ago, and it seems like nowadays we do have a sense of urgency. It seems like we're kind of running out of time. You know, and I hate to say that, but I have people contact me all the time that feel that they need to get moving with this plan, and they are actively looking, and I really do think that's smart. It's smart to be looking at the redoubt states now, which is Idaho, Utah, Oregon, and Washington. It is really smart to be looking at homesteads with water, be it a spring or a seep or their own cistern, something they can develop. So people really are getting smart. So this is going to be the next step, purchasing property and what you should be thinking about when you are doing this, okay? Because this is what helped make us successful in our journey to our prosperous and very self-sufficient homestead, okay? So let's go over some of the things that you guys really need to start thinking about. All right, so when we're talking about the number one piece of advice that we could give that really solidified us going off the grid and coming out to what you see here is, and I know, you know, it feels like people, I get it, we feel like we're running out of time. And the time is of the essence, and it really is. And that's why when it comes to searching for that piece of property, you have to get it in your head now that if you find something like we have found, and when we found this 13 acres, you know, we were out of budget. We came out here to Idaho with $30,000 basically cash, and we thought that was the bomb. We really thought we could go to the real estate agents and they were going to take us all over the place to look for property, and we were going to find it. And what we found for $30,000 were parcels that were logged. They were, it was awful. They were right next to the railroad tracks. They didn't have any source of water. You know, they were terrible pieces of property. You know what? You do get what you pay for. And I can't say this enough as I am looking at my backyard here and saying it can be done, but you have to get in the mentality now, especially with time running out, that $30,000 ain't gonna buy much of anything. We will spend $24,000 on a vehicle, right? We will. Think about it. You'll spend that on a vehicle easily. But you won't say double that, and maybe even triple that to find that right piece of land that is going to offer self-sustainability for the rest of your life. We will spend anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000, and maybe even more. I don't know what people are spending on houses out there to live on the grid, to be connected, to push those buttons, flip those switches to have electricity that offer nothing in return except dependence to the system. We'll spend that. And we'll spend our $24,000 on our cars. But when we start looking for property or homesteads off the grid, we balk because it looks like it costs too much. Okay, this is reality. you are paying for that life insurance policy that is going to sustain you. What type of price are you going to put on your self-sustainability and your livelihood for the rest of your life? Think about it in those terms. You know, are you worth it? The next thing that I really want to talk about that you guys really have to take seriously is making sure that when you find a homestead, you move on it. I got this from a friend of ours who's a real estate agent, and he sells redoubt property. He told me the number one reason why people fail to get pieces of property or homesteads is they procrastinate. They wait too long. They go home and they mull it over and they mull it over. He said, do you know how valuable it is when you find a homestead that has water or hydro and wind and has a garden site and is abutted to a national forest, or, you know, he said when all those right things come together, it's not going to last very long. So if you're serious, if you're really serious about this lifestyle, you have to have that mentality that once we find that piece of property or that homestead, we are going to move on it. Now, you're going to be smart about it, but you're going to have to move on it. And that is a different way of thinking. Because when we came out here, we had to do the same thing because we knew it was going to cost some money. And we were like, oh, yeah, you know, no one wants to spend the money. But like I said, we'll spend the money on a $24,000 truck, right? This is an investment for the future. So get your mindset on that point, that when you find that property, you're going to have to move on it and you're going to be spending some money, okay? The next thing is, should you use a real estate agent or do it yourself? There's two ways to look at this. A real estate agent, I'm going to tell you, back in Wisconsin, I got my real estate license because when we were trying to sell our house up in Wisconsin, I didn't want to spend all the money on hiring a real estate agent. So what did I do? I took my tests, I studied, got my license back in Wisconsin, I became a real estate agent just so I could save money on selling my house. But what I did find, because I worked for an agency very shortly, wow, those real estate agents earned their keep. I could tell you stories. And you know what? Any job you're going to get paid for, right? Nobody does anything for free. And that's the same thing with real estate agents. They do earn their keep. And, you know, if you're looking for expertise and you want that particular piece of property or that homestead, they are a really good source. And yes, you're going to have to pay them for their expertise. Now, some are better than others, obviously. Trust me, I know this. Some are better than others. But for the most part, you find a real estate agent who deals specially in redoubt property, off-grid property, homesteads that may be connected to the grid but have the possibility to go off-grid or grid-connected and get backup like the solar or the hydro. Number two, if you don't even want to go down that route and you said, you know what, I'm all done with real estate agents, it's not for me, the best way to look for property then and purchase property is you find the land or the homestead that you're interested in and you go down to their local courthouse. All the records there on property, you know, it's the tax list, your tax roll. You find their name, find out who they are, you look it up, and it's public record. You can find out how much they pay in taxes on that piece of property. You can find out exactly what that piece of property is worth, pretty much getting an idea how much they spent on it. And that's what we did. We found out how much the property really cost, and he was offering it for way up here with the real estate agent, and then we knew what he paid for it, so we kind of knew the playing ground, and it leveled it immensely. So that really gave us a great starting point and kind of put the ball in our court. So don't be afraid to do research and then go to the courthouse to get that information. It's very, very empowering if you are doing it on your own. Okay, so the next thing that you guys have to consider and sit down and have a real solid plan over is, are you going to build or are you going to buy an existing homestead? Now, I know this is pressing on a lot of people's minds because I have people contact me all the time asking us, did you build? Was it hard? How much money did you save? Maybe we should just buy a homestead, but then again, we might be buying somebody else's problem. So there's a whole array of things that you need to sit and think about. Now, I will tell you our story. We did build. We had actually built a house in Wisconsin all by ourselves. That was number one. And when we built this house all by ourselves, it was actually a log home. And I tell you, people were so skeptical. My husband is not a carpenter, he's not an electrician, he's not a plumber. And oh, did we hear all about it. You can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's not going to work. You're not going to be able to heat your house. It's going to blow over because you're using the wrong logs. On and on and on and on. It was so frustrating. And the negativity was just unreal. But you know what? We didn't listen to them. And my husband pressed on and we pressed on and we ended up building a very beautiful log home that stayed toasty warm in the wintertime. It had hydronic heat. It was solid as a rock. It defied everything that all these so-called experts were telling us that, oh, we were doing wrong. And the nice thing about, or I shouldn't even say the nice thing, the awesome thing about that house is in the end we sold it, and that's what helped us finance getting this homestead here. So now the problem was we bought this land and we really wanted to build it ourselves, but we were in Wisconsin. So some of you may run into this issue. You're in another state and you bought property and now you want to build, but you can't be driving back and forth. You're halfway across the United States like us. So this is what we did. We hired some people to build the shell. Was that good? Was that bad? Well, it was bad and good. We weren't there to oversee the project. That was bad. We didn't know how many hours they were putting in. That was bad. And although they sent us pictures, we weren't there. It was very torturous for us to not be in control of that, because when we showed up here on the homestead with our Penske truck and all our belongings, we knew we had made a mistake because we had no place really to live. We had a shell, and when we started looking at the shell, we realized, they did a good job, but there were a lot of things that needed to be corrected because we weren't there. And that left my husband very, very frustrated. So, to make a long story short, we had to do a lot of rework, and we spent many long hours finishing that house while we were living basically with the mattress on the ground, cooking outside, solar bags, doing laundry outside. You know what, that does get old after a while. It sounds glamorous, but people, it's not glamorous. Have a plan. We would have been better off if we would have built a garage first, or at least had a trailer to stay in. And we weren't smart. We were not smart, so live and learn from us. Okay, and then the other thing is, a lot of people have asked us, the bottom line is, did we save money by building it ourselves, despite the discomforts and all the hard work? And yeah, people, when you build yourself, there is no doubt you're going to save tons and tons of money. And of course, that is what's going to help keep you debt-free. That is obviously the goal. So yes, we saved, this is a debt-free, basically. We don't owe anything on our homestead. And it didn't cost us an arm and a leg. Now, if that doesn't work for you, then the flip side is, buying a homestead. And be smart about it. I know there's a lot of Americans that must use the bank to buy a homestead. Is there anything wrong with that? I'm not going to tell you if there's anything wrong with it or not wrong with it. It's all personal preference. But what I will say is, yeah, use the money, the bank's money, if you have to. If that's what's going to give you that life insurance policy for the rest of your life, use their money. Use it. But be smart about it. Research your rates. Make sure you're not taking out a loan for 30 or 40 years. Just be smart about it. Because when you are paying off that loan, you are paying off that life insurance policy. It's not like you're paying off that brand new truck or that brand new car that's going to get you nothing in the end. I mean, it gives you transportation, but that is your livelihood for the rest of your life. So it is a good investment policy. The other thing I've had a lot of people say, well, when you're buying a homestead, the minus is you're buying somebody else's problems. That could be. And you may have to invest a little muscle and a little time fixing it up the way that you want it. And those are all the things, people, that you're going to have to sit down and consider. Build or not build. Time or a lot of time. Money or not a lot of money. But that's what I want you guys to really start focusing on. You're going out to look for property. You are doing these searches. You're really getting into it. You're serious. The feet are in the water now. Those are the things that you have to consider. You're really waking up and you're asking some really good questions. But again, the reality of life is you do need money to do this. If you want to be self-sustainable and you want to get serious about this, you're going to have to batten down the hatches and come to a realistic place with finances and what you're looking for. Okay? So don't give up hope. I'm giving you a dose of reality, but the reality is we were right where you people were, and we did it. And we didn't have a lot of money, and we just worked extra hard, so it can be done. And the awesome thing about once you get that building, then the real fun begins, because then everything that you put into that homestead is money back in the bank. You are getting those returns. You're getting those capital gains, and that is the most awesome, rewarding thing ever. Okay? So the advice is for you to prepare you and make you guys smart and make you guys think. That's why we're doing it, okay? Because we want you guys to be successful. All right, God bless. Keep waiting and watching for more debt-free, slave-free videos. Hopefully it won't be as long as this one, but hopefully they'll be as good. And again, got any comments or you need to PM me? Do it, all right? Until next time.